So now we've come to something slightly maybe more interesting, and that is the idea. God, I'm kind of like, okay, that is the idea of nested for loops. Okay, and I wonder if I can bring actually more colors into this. This is a bad idea. I know this is a bad idea. Those of you watching at home, I know, I'm going to admit right now this is a bad idea. And I'm going to say, for every, so the intuition here is for every A things I do B things. This actually lends itself nicely to a, why don't we make this screen bigger? What am I doing? Act like I've been here before. I should have done that for the other one too, huh? I'm not gonna go back and do it. It's already uploading. It's okay. For every, it was for loops. You guys know for loops already. But from here on out, I'll do this. For every A things, we do B things. And I already screwed up using the colors. This is over. This lecture is finished. Okay. What do I mean by that? Well, it actually lends itself nicely to processing, and that processing is kind of this picture. Okay. And we have 0, 0 up here, right? And we got our plus x direction and plus y direction, right? All right, so we have this window over here, and what we did last time, right, is we did a line across and another line that was slightly more red, another line, and we got this gradation, right? Now, one thing we can do here is, let's say we wanted to put a pixel into each one of these. Let's say I wanted to put a red pixel. I wanted to make this whole thing red, okay? How might I do that? Well, I might be like, I've got to put, so instead of working on lines now, I'm working on pixels. So I've got to place each one of these pixels here, right? And I make them all red, okay? And that gets me a red line, right? So these are all red pixels I'm filling in, right? And that gets me a red line, okay? And then, well, I'm at the end, I've done one red line of pixels. I need to do another red line of pixels, and so I kind of do the same thing. I jump all the way over here, and I do the same thing again. So I'm doing another line of red pixels, right? And then I jump back and I do the same thing again. So it's like I have to do B things. So if we call this B, this number B, the which is the width, right? We've used that word before. And this number A, which in this case would be the height, right? Then for every A row of pixels, I have to drop B pixels, okay? For every A row of pixels, I have to drop B pixels. Or another way this might look, right, is you might say something like, well, I have to do A things here. I have to go through for each line, and there's A number of lines. And so what does that mean? Well, that means that I start at 0. I'm sorry. Am I running out of space? I'm going to erase the top, but no, actually I'm not. I can do this. Deep breath. So it's going to be so great when I actually have a board again. For, oh god, int I equals 0, I is less than A. And remember, that's because it starts at 0, 0. And so it's just like an array, it goes to 1 minus the actual value. So if you say I is less than A, that'll cover it, right? If it's A is 300, it really goes from 0 to 299, okay? If you don't do that, though, processing doesn't care because you're allowed to draw stuff outside the screen. So processing's nice in that fact. It doesn't freak out when you go outside the screen. In fact, you can stage stuff outside the screen and bring them in. It's actually really nice. Arrays aren't like that, right? If you run off the end of an array, it's a big issue and you get a runtime error. So I is less than A, and then I'm gonna go semicolon I equals I plus 1. This is really bumming me out that I can't put it all in one line. Okay. And inside this for loop, there's another for loop, and it'll do the same thing. Notice we can't use I again, because I's still in scope, right? Till here, I is still in scope. So we have to use a different one. People sometimes use J. J equals 0. And the big thing here is J is less than B, okay? And we could say something like J equals J plus 1. Okay, and then we could drop a pixel. I think is it pixel or point? I gotta look at the processing reference. Let's look at the processing reference together. You probably have it already bookmarked. Okay, so let's see what it is. 2D primitives. I think it's point. Yeah, that's right. So yeah, it's easy. You just drop a point in between two places. And if you want to draw a colored point, you can use stroke, just like we did last time, right? So if I want to drop a red point, if I want everything to be red, I can actually call stroke up here. And what this says is every time I do an outline from here on out until I change stroke, it's going to be red or whatever. You can always just change stroke back to whatever color after this nested for loop. 0, 0, 0 is the typical color, but you can also do no stroke and no fill. Like I don't want any fill, I don't want any stroke, right? And it'll just not have any fill, right? And it'll not have any stroke. No fill is the same thing as being transparent, which you did that one time with the alpha, right? Okay, so stroke, and we want it to be red, so 255, 0, 0. Right, and then in here we would say something like pixel. What am I saying? Pixel. Oh, right. Pixel. So what is it? A is height and B is width, and you could do it either way. You could do it the other way too. You could say it. So don't freak out if you're like, wait, what if I go through all the B's and go vertically, like I make the B, A the width and B the vertical ones? That's fine. Pixel B, and I know that's why this is confusing because their alphabetical order is being violated. B, comma A. And that should do it. That should make a bunch of red pixels on our screen and make our background red. In fact, that's probably what processing is doing, something akin to that behind the scenes whenever we say background 255. All it's doing is it's going in and it's drawing red pixels everywhere. Now you can do that. I know it's much cooler when processing does it because you don't have to do it. But it's good to think about nested for loops. Now, I'm going to make you do the same thing you did with lines now with these pixels and nested for loops, okay? Yeah, so we're going to just do a few of those, and then, but what you have to think about when you do that, all right, is that the color is going to change after you do a row, okay? So what does that mean? Well, where do you want to insert the color change? So the first line is black, right? And so you could say fill 0, 0, 0, right? The second line needs to be more red, all right? And so here, before you do the second line, before you start drawing these pixels, this row of pixels, you have to figure out here. So in between the first for loop and the second for loop, you have to put in the right fill. And the fill has to change each time through the loop, which implies that you better use I there because I is the only thing changing. Otherwise, you're going to get the same exact color over and over again. Okay? And so, yeah, we'll kind of redo the last assignment in terms of pixels to get an idea of how the nested for loop works. I'll see you next video.